The notification comes at 0400 on Deluge Day 7. Kale Varden is already awake, already staring at his screen, because he has not slept properly since he submitted the report. 3 weeks of field data, 17 bore sample cross-sections, a geothermal aquifer map that took him 4 months to build, stitched together from sensor grids the council had written off as legacy equipment. The model is clean. He knows it is clean. And when the coastal warning sirens start up again outside his window and the brown floodwater creeps another 6 centimeters up the wall of the Halvern District 7 evacuation staging area, he opens the notification. Subject: Port classification, junk science non-essential personnel, removal from convoy list. The Emergency Survival Council of Halvern has reviewed the thermal vent survival model submitted by analyst grade C, Kale Varden. The model has been rejected as unsupported, unfalsifiable, and a misallocation of planning resources. Analyst Varden is reclassified as non-essential. He will not be assigned a convoy seat in evacuation wave 1, 2, or 3. Civilians in non-essential categories will shelter in place and await secondary relief. He looks at the waterline on the wall. 7 days and it has already reached the second-floor landing. Secondary relief is a phrase the council uses when they have no intention of coming back. At 0800, the convoy briefing plays on the district screen. Director Yale Orn addresses the camp. Steady voice, silver uniform, particular calm of a person who already has a seat. She explains that the Highland settlement, 80 kilometers inland and 40 meters above current sea level, has been selected as the primary survival zone. Resources have been allocated. Infrastructure is in place. It is, she says, the only viable option. Then someone in the briefing room asks about the thermal vent model. Orn smiles. She actually smiles. That report was the work of a grade C analyst with no field command experience and a clear misunderstanding of our resource constraints. The model describes a submerged lowland dead zone as a viable settlement site. I don't think I need to explain why we aren't building a city underwater. Laughter in the room. She moves on. By noon, the convoy. 400 vehicles. 11,000 people, every essential worker, every ranked specialist, every council member, rolls out of the staging area and up the Highland Access Road. Kale watches it from the second-floor window. He counts the vehicles until he can't see them anymore. 200 people are left behind. A mix of elderly civilians, a handful of low-rank support staff, maintenance workers, a few analysts like him. They gather in the staging area with what supplies remain. A week of rations split between 200 mouths, a diesel generator running on fumes, and 6 inches of standing water on the ground floor. Kale opens his model on the cracked staging room table and starts over from the beginning. The Wellspring Codex activates on day 3. He is standing in water up to his shins in the building's maintenance basement, pressing a sensor lead against the concrete wall, trying to verify the aquifer bearing he has been running calculations on since the convoy left. The data has always pointed here, to a deep geothermal vent system running 40 meters below the lowland district, pressurized groundwater that the surface flooding has not touched, insulated by clay and volcanic rock from a seam that runs under half of Halvern's industrial quarter. He presses the lead to the wall and the world answers him. Wellspring Codex, activated. Rights holder, Kale Varden. Condition met. Survival data officially suppressed. Rights holder stranded in zero-rated zone. Ability unlocked. Vent site. Classification. Unranked. Above surface. The Wellspring. The map blooms in his vision. Not the rough sensor grid approximation he had spent months stitching together. The real map. Every aquifer channel within 4 kilometers. Rendered in exact depth and pressure. Glowing like a blueprint behind his eyes. 3 primary veins. 1 secondary cluster. A geothermal vent at 38 meters depth pumping heat at a stable 11 degrees Celsius above ambient, which in a flooded lowland winter means the air above it will not freeze. He stands very still, then he writes down everything he sees. By day 10, first clean water line is running. He directs the work personally. Boring locations mapped to the millimeter. Extraction approach calculated by pressure differential, so the channels self-replenish rather than drain. When the first clean water flows up through the improvised pump and the 200 people around him go quiet, he understands what the Codex has given him. Not just a skill. A monopoly on the most valuable resource left in the world. Wellspring Codex, new ability unlocked, purify field range 300 metres, contaminated water within zone converted to clean, upkeep passive. The surface floodwater inside the 300-meter radius runs clear within 6 hours. Not just drinkable, clean. He tests it 4 times. He tells the group what this means. They have unlimited water inside the zone's boundary. Nobody needs to leave for it. Nobody needs to fight over it. He says this quietly, the way he says everything, and watches 200 people begin to breathe differently. The zone grows. Day 20. Yield surge activates. Soil temperature regulation and nutrient cycling. Enough to sustain root crops in the raised platform beds he has his team building from salvaged concrete and fill. Day 40. Zone seal brings the perimeter temperature to a stable 14 degrees Celsius regardless of outside conditions, which have swung from flash heat events to cold flooding snaps as the climate tilts. The dead zone is warm, watered, and productive. He names it the wellspring. He never raises his voice. He gives no speeches. When people ask him how he knew, he shows them the original model, the one Director Orn called junk on camera, and says the data was always here. Meanwhile, 80 kilometers inland and 40 meters above sea level, the Highland settlement is learning something the council did not model for. Highland was chosen for its elevation. Nobody modeled its water table. The regional aquifer does not extend to the highland bedrock. It runs under the lowland district. The highland has surface precipitation, which in the climate chaos of the deluge year means alternating flood pulses and dry stretches. Nothing consistent. The infrastructure the council pre-positioned was built for a stable temperate environment. The environment is not stable. Rationing begins at day 45. By day 90, the Highland settlement is allocating 200 milliliters of water per person per day, half a cup, prioritizing the essential personnel. The non-essential ones are getting less. Keel receives his first contact from the Highland settlement on day 97. A private channel, not an official line. A junior logistics officer named Pav Dresh, who remembers him from the staging area. The message is short. The water numbers are bad. Getting worse. Director Orn has not announced it publicly. Is it true what people are saying about the lowland zone? Kale replies with a water quality report, a crop yield summary, and a zone seal temperature log. He adds nothing editorial. He lets the numbers speak. The messages from the Highland settlement increase after that. Not from Director Orn. Never from Director Orn. From logistics officers, medical staff, from families of the people she left behind. The picture they paint is consistent and deteriorating. 1,000 cases of waterborne illness from improvised surface collection. Crop failures across 2 growing cycles. A supplemental ration convoy that was supposed to come from the coast. There is no coast anymore. What remains of the regional government is in disarray. The council's authority is eroding because authority without resources is just a title, and the Highland settlement's resources are almost gone. On day 211, Director Orn makes an announcement to the Highland settlement. She tells them the situation is being managed. She tells them alternative water sources are being identified. She does not mention the wellspring. She does not mention Kale's name. Kale reading the transcript in the warm lamplit common hall of the wellspring. 400 residents now, the original 200 plus another 200 climate refugees, who found them on foot over 6 months. Says nothing and goes back to work. Day 290. The zone covers 8 city blocks. 1,200 people live within the zone seal perimeter. Warm, fed, watered. Separate crop cycles producing continuously. A medical bay. A school. A water surplus he has been storing in sealed tanks since day 60 because he ran the numbers on this day 2 months ago and he knew it was coming. Day 300. They arrive at dawn. Kale is at the perimeter when the column appears on the access road. A slow, exhausted procession stretching back almost a kilometer. 4,000 people. He can see even at this distance that they are thin. Many are carrying children. The vehicles that are still running carry the sick and the elderly. At the front of the column, in a gray field jacket instead of the silver uniform, is Director Yale Orn. She stops at the perimeter marker. She does not have a loudspeaker. She does not need one. The zone is quiet and the distance between them is not far. Pardon, she says. He looks at her. We need water, she pauses. She is not a person accustomed to the next word, please. Behind her 4,000 people wait in silence. The wellspring's perimeter hums gently, 14 degrees Celsius, clean air, the faint sound of running water from the primary channel 10 meters inside the gate. Out there on the road, it is 9 degrees and the floodwater runoff smells like chemical silt. Kale speaks clearly, no anger in it, just precision. The terms are three. First, Director Orn submits a full public record correcting the classification of the thermal vent model from junk science to approved foundational data, her name on it timestamped filed to the Regional Emergency Archive. Second, the Council transfers operational authority for the Highland Settlement's water and food allocation to the Wellspring Administration, effective immediately. Third, my name and the names of the 200 people left behind go onto the official survival record, not as non-essential civilians, as founding personnel. She stares at him for a long moment. That's all, she says, that's all. She looks back at 4,000 exhausted people. She looks at the gate. She pulls out the filing terminal she still carries in her jacket pocket and starts typing. It takes 4 minutes. When she is done, she turns the screen toward him so he can read the submission confirmation. Kale looks at it. He nods once. He walks to the gate and opens it. They come in slowly, blinking in the warm air. A child near the front stops walking and looks up. The temperature inside the perimeter is immediate and unmistakable, a wall of stable warmth after weeks of cold runoff. And she says something Kale cannot hear. Mother kneels beside her and says something back. He watches them come through, 300 of his people moving to meet them with water and ration packs. And he thinks of the notification at 0400 on Deluge Day 7, the one that said he was non-essential. The archive entry post automatically to every surviving regional terminal at 0611 hours on day 300. Thermal vent survival model. Reclassification from junk science to approved functional data. Analyst, Kale Varden. Wellspring zone confirmed as primary survival site, Halvern region. Found personnel, Kale Varden and 200 non-essential civilians. Director Orn stands just inside the gate, watching her former non-essential personnel hand out water to her 4,000. She does not speak. There is nothing left to say that the numbers have not already said better. Kale walks back to the primary channel and checks the day's yield. The aquifer is running at full pressure. Clean, warm, and deep. Exactly where his model said it would be. It was always here.